Hello, viewers. Welcome to another episode of The Open Pulpit. Today, we are blessed to have our daddy here, a renowned academician, a professor of anatomy of many years. Papa is over 90 years and has been so kind to give us some time to answer a few questions. Papa, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for bringing us to your wonderful home. Let me start from academics. What got you into anatomy, sir?
Well, I got into anatomy purely because I just like the subject, uh, biology basically.
Mm.
And of course, biology, anatomy, in the case of anatomy, you're talking about the human body. But the biology talk of the mammalian body, animal body,
Remember
and
that.
stuff like
Okay.
that. Anyway, what I did was I studied medicine originally. I was in Bristol University between 1956 and 1961. I graduated as a medical doctor in 1961.
Wow.
Did my 1 year house position in teaching hospital where I studied. When I came back home, I was appointed in University Hospital in Ibadan as a registered medical doctor, junior doctor.
Mm.
In 1962, August, I started working there. But in the meantime, I had already applied to the anatomy department of University of Ibadan to be a demonstrator. But
What's the demonstrator, sir?
to demonstrate anatomy to medical students,
Oh, okay. All right.
just to be able to know whether my interest in the subject is still very much the same as it was. But I did not get any reply from University of Ibadan. That made me apply to University Hospital, which gave me the job.
Amen.
But in the meantime, somehow by accident, I must say I call this accident because on my on the boat coming back home in 62 August, I was in the same boat with the then Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan, Professor DK.
Professor DK.
Professor DK, the Vice Chancellor. I was in the boat with him, and there he was. And we were talking for 30 days on the boat. I was explaining to him my interest. And he told me that if I wanted to be, they are looking for a person like me.
Amen.
They wanted to recruit Nigerians into the university at that time. And he told me how I could be trained to be an anatomist. And that was it. Within the 6 months, I got back to UCH, United Medical Hospital in Ibadan. I was interviewed. There was an interview conducted with me with a gentleman from the Rockefeller Foundation in New York. And they said they prepared to train me as an anatomist, and I had to do 2 year training in the United States. But I was get the job a job as a lecturer in the University of Ibadan before the foundation can sponsor me to go for this training program. And that was it.
Amen.
I virtually abandoned clinical medicine. After 6 months in the University Hospital, I moved to University of Ibadan. And within 6 months of being in Ibadan, I was posted to or admitted to Yale University in the United States for a 2 year program to train as an anatomist, which was what made me into the world of anatomy.
Anatomy.
I cut my teeth in the scientific research. Rather than a clinical medical doctor, I became a medical scientist.
Wow.
Because apparently it is not easy to get a medical doctor to be in the field of anatomy. And the university needed a medically qualified person to be a lecturer in anatomy. And that was how I got into it.
Thank you so
I
much,
became
sir.
a lecturer.
Thank you, Papa. Thank you so much. So about how many years did you spend in academy?
Well, in fact, I only just been told this recently. I've spent 61 years
Wow.
from 1963 when I joined the staff as a lecturer in University of Ibadan until 2024 when I finished my contract with Babcock University in 2024 that I retired from teaching anatomy. In the first instance, I want to explain this. I retired from University of Ibadan in 1992, went to the West Indies, worked in a private American university in the West Indies, Ross University School of Medicine. I taught anatomy there as professor of anatomy for about 17 years in Ross University. And then I went on to Babcock University. Well, what took me to Babcock University is purely, again, accidental, if I might put it that way. I came back home in 2007, hoping that I'll retired entirely from teaching, only to find 2 years later that Babcock University in Elisha wanted to set up a new medical school,
Medical school. Okay.
the Anatomist. And the president, vice chancellor of the university invited me uh, to for an interview and spoke to their intent if I could be of help to them, which I accepted to do, and that was 2009
Amen.
until 2025 when I finally retired, on 2024 rather. I retired another 15 years.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Viewers, I think we learned a lesson here that somebody could be persistent, could withstand the storms in the profession for 61 years. Papa, I grew up in Nigeria educational system to see that there are many times when academy in Nigeria was rocky because of government policies there and there. What was your motivation to stay consistently without running abroad? Because I know that a person like you could have a fantastic, with your credentials, you can have fantastic appointments all over the world. What was the motivation that made you to stay here for 61 years of service?
Well, let us put it this way. When I joined the staff of University College Ibadan, there are a large number of expatriate teachers, and the university had just attained its independent status from London, and the intention was to train Nigerians to take over from the expatriate teachers.
Okay.
That was a motivation. At that time, we just attained independence in 1963 when I joined the staff. We attained independence, the third year of independence, and the university was trying to train Nigerians to become teachers in the university, take over from the expatriate teachers. So I was one of the LA trainees. And of course, everything was very rosy, I must say. It was there's a feeling of being wanted.
Being wanted.
So that it's a world of saying, oh, this is good life to be.
Amen.
So the pressure was there. I continued my research work, research in the laboratory, teaching students. Of course, to be a medical doctor, and that way is one of the major subjects. So these new medical students, when they come in, it was exciting to be teaching them how much anatomy they needed to know before they can go to the hospital to continue to become medical doctors.
Wow.
So that's
That's
very exciting.
Thank you, sir. And I know that you witnessed generation of educational development, particularly in the medical field. What do you consider are the major challenges during your service compared with what you have now, sir?
Well, major challenges at that time, one particular one, is medical research work in the laboratory. As I said before, I enjoyed, biology and anatomy when I wanted to, what led me into the subject at all. And as such, research was booming. There's enough money for research. And as long as you do your research properly, you get promoted. For example, after my master's of science degree from Yale University, I came back home and continued my research work. I registered for a PhD in anatomy in the University of Ibadan, which I worked on. I got my PhD in 1973.
Wow.
In the meantime, I've moved one or two steps to become a senior lecturer in anatomy. So soon after I got my PhD, I went on to get promoted to the position of professor of anatomy in 1975.
Wow.
And of course, up to that time, everything went very well. I must say that from my point of view, it's the military intervention
Mm.
that created the mess we are in today.
Probably today.
I was very frank with you. This is my own personal opinion.
Yes, sir.
Because things were going on very well with the civilian government until the military intervention. I can say this. I would not like to say any more than this. That I wish that the military did not intervene in the government of Nigeria,
Nigeria.
because till today we are not free of it.
We have not recovered. Thank you, sir. Um, sir, I know you are a family man, and to the glory of God, how are you able to balance family life with the rigors of academic work, research, all those things, sir?
Well, you see, this is a difficult question to answer. But I'll tell you this. I was comfortable in my job in the anatomy department, the University of Ibadan. And as the children came about, my wife was a trained nurse in the theater, the University Hospital. So between the two of us, we were able to, balance
Balance the time.
the home life with academic life,
Mm.
with social life, even in Ibadan for that matter. So that the children were brought up under a strict family setting, and also we were able to balance how we look after the children when they were in primary school, secondary school, and then finally university. So it's I cannot tell you precisely. Time just went,
Amen.
and we enjoyed ourselves. I have 5 children, you know, and 2 of them are medical doctors. Well, one is a lawyer, and one is a pilot.
Amen.
So, well,
Thank you, sir. I asked that question because these days, in some families, there is some difficulty in balancing everything the way God has used you and your wife to balance a successful family life. And that has to be a lesson to those of us out there, the younger ones, to see that the pursuance of academic excellence or pursuance of wealth should not necessarily hinder the growth at the family front. Thank you for that answer, sir. I also know that you're a good Christian, sir, to the glory of God, because I was able to relate with quite a number of your nieces and nephews. How do you see Christianity these days in Nigeria?
what by that? How do I?
What do you think about the Christian world? When we were growing up, we go to Anglican church, we go to all these churches and everything, and a lot of discipline, everything was okay. But now there seems to be different approach to the practice of Christianity in Nigeria. So as a sage, as somebody who has seen quite a lot, who is also Christian, what do you think about the Christianity in Nigeria today, sir?
Well, I think the way I will look at this is purely a matter of what your mindset is.
Amen.
Whatever religion you are in. As you say, I'm a Christian. I come from a background of a Christian home, a Methodist home, Methodist. My grandfather on my mother's side is a reverend gentleman.
Mm.
My father went to Wesley College, Ibadan, to train as a teacher.
Okay.
And in their training, they also train them to be part of the pastoral, studies. So I grew up in a home where there's Christianity, and that stayed with me. That's all I can say about that. I'm not tightly, born again Christian. People want to say
Born
I'm
again.
not, but I'm a Christian, and I believe in it. And the children were brought up in that same society setting, and I thought there's nothing special about it. All my children are whatever they choose to be. I've not interfered at all, but I know that they are all Christians themselves. But I don't think they are Methodists, but I think they attend these churches, the Nigerian made type of church, like Redeem, like what do you call that other churches now?
Other Pentecostal churches in particular.
Uh,
The reason why I asked
Pentecost.
that question is that quite a number of Pentecostal churches seem to have a lot of influence on the younger ones. A lot of activities all over the place, and it's my personal opinion that the fact that one is born a Christian does not necessarily mean that one is actually a Christian in the heart. Actually, most of us that make a lot of noise, a lot of prayer going on in Nigeria, yet Nigeria situation is the way it is. That's why I asked that question, sir. I'm very appreciative of your time and your patience. Now, I want to ask this other question, sir, as we round up. How do you see the situation in Nigeria now, the political situation and everything, and what hope do you think we have in this country?
Well, situation in Nigeria now, it all depends on how you feel about it. Because of my own life experience over
Yes,
the
sir.
years, as I said earlier on, military intervention has created the problem we have in Nigeria today, and that has affected us.
Mhm.
It has affected us in many ways. It has divided us in the religious life, for example. Talking about Muslims and Christians, it's totally unnecessary. As far as I'm concerned,
Yes.
anybody who believes that he's a Christian or a Muslim should just believe in God.
Amen. Amen.
Because I know that even the whole content of the Quran is almost the same as the content of the Old Testament in the Bible.
Awesome, sir. Okay, sir.
If you have studied any of these things very well, because the whole essence of religion as practiced from the Middle East, the Palestinians, the Israelis, the Muslims, they're all one and the same as far as the story in the Old Testament is concerned.
And they have similar culture also.
Where the difference is when you go into the New Testament part of it, even the Jews themselves who practice what they call Judaism, they believe in the Old Testament, but they don't believe too much in Jesus Christ. They just say that Jesus happens to be one of the prophets as far as they are concerned. Judaism is their faith. And when it comes to the Muslim faith, Muhammad himself, he believes entirely in the context of the Quran.
Mm.
And as I said before, the content of the Quran is the same as the Old Testament. I know that. And that from that point of view, I don't think there's any difference between Christianity and Islam,
Thank you, sir.
except those who want to take the extremes of both sides. They create a problem for themselves. That's
Thank
what
you,
it is.
viewers. We are so blessed. Papa's opinion, I also share that the fact that either you're a Christian or a Muslim or whatever you are practicing should not divide us. It should not be cause for crisis and conflicts. What's important is that all of us must recognize that we have God as a Father, and we serve Him. As a matter of fact, I believe that if you cannot love your neighbors, you cannot love God. Because to say that you love God without loving your neighbors it's not the right thing. Papa, thank you so much, sir, for your time. Do you have any advice, final comment for your children all over the world?
To tell the truth,
Yes,
I,
sir.
I have no strong feelings either way.
Okay, sir.
Um, after all after all these years of my life, I'll be 94 in
Wow.
20 days time.
I key to that anointing, sir. I key
And,
to that
and
94.
what else am I doing? I'm just living day by day, eat, sleep, and nothing else. I did not think I would reach the age of 90, but here I am. I'm over 90, going on to 94. And as
Amen.
such, as far as I'm concerned, we shall thank God for my existence.
Amen.
I know that God is the God of whatever I want to call it. It's a God that looks after me. That's what I must say.
Obviously, so yes,
It's
sir.
by the grace of God that I what I have today,
Amen.
either academically or otherwise. It's the grace of God that has kept me alive till today. I'm in good health, and I don't use walking stick, and
Mm.
I'm all right generally.
Amen.
Otherwise, there's nothing else to say except to thank God for my existence.
Thank you, sir. I think the work we have done in life, physically, academically, and everything, and the special grace of God make it possible
That's right.
for you to attain that age, sir. Thank you so much, Papa. God bless you. Really good.
You're very welcome.
Viewers, that brings us to the end of this particular episode. We are grateful to learn from a sage while he's still very much alive. And you can Google his name. There are a number of things you discover about our father here who have been so kind to grant us a few minutes into his life. Thank you so much, sir. We still remain the open pulpit. If you have not subscribed to us, please go on YouTube, go on any of your social media things and subscribe to us. My name is Dr. Niran Fafura. I'm a pastor of the Redeemed Church of God. And my people call me Papa Igu. God bless you, good. Amen.
Emphasizing the truth in an eclipsing world.